Hi, welcome back to Working for the Rich and Famous podcast. Hope you're well. Thanks once again for listening in. It's really amazing the amount of support we're getting. You're all amazing. Thank you. Hopefully we're continuing to provide a bit of value to the private sector and provide something that's not really out there at the moment, just a bit of a community, a bit of an insight into a notorious closed world, really. And whilst keeping utmost discretion and confidentiality, it's nice to be able to come together and share some of the stories that we can actually share and give people a bit more of a better understanding about what they can expect if they were to come and work in this field. So thanks you all. Looking forward to today. Today we've got Nathalie joining us. So Nathalie's French, living in France, been working there, entire career really. And her story is amazing because she's got the most solid CV I think I've ever seen. Incredibly solid CV, having spent 22 years with the same employer, starting as a sort of a lady's maid, working her way up to estate management, managing multiple properties and a large team. Very much a formal home. She's a very traditional estate manager. So I'm really, really keen to find out a bit more about what her journey looked like, how she moved her way up, and also just get as much advice and tips from her as we can to hopefully help other people. So let's get straight into this then. So Nathalie, how are you?
I'm well, thank you for inviting me in the show.
Oh no, you're more than welcome. So where in France are you based?
Just outside Monaco, in Roquebrune-Cap-Martin.
Fabulous. And have you guys had quite a busy summer in spite of COVID?
Yes, we have. I think, the French Riviera has always been very busy, especially at this time of year. But yes, we are blessed. We have beautiful weather and yes, quite a few people on the beach as well.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people can drive down there anyway. And I think it was early May when the restrictions lifted. So I think from early May, borders have been fairly open and a lot of people can visit. We've placed quite a lot of staff down in the south of France this summer. So
yes.
Luckily, these now, a lot of countries have now got France back on their sort of quarantine list. At least that's now happening at the end of the summer, which is great.
Yes.
Is it true that the south of France has something like 330 days of sunshine a year or something ridiculous?
I would say so.
I think that's what the
I would
stat
say
was.
so. We are very blessed, but I also like a bit of the cold weather and wet weather. Sometimes it's good.
Well, it's been absolute heat wave in the UK this week. Like it's been like 35 degrees, and yesterday and today was the first cooler days, and everybody is like, "Oh, thank God for that." Yeah. Honestly, us Brits, we just moan all the time. We moan when it's wet, we moan when it's hot, we moan when it's cold. But I think we're all really embracing the drop in temperature because when it's hot, it's hot. It's hard, isn't it?
I know.
To get anything done. So 20 years with the same employer, 22 years, that's crazy. And so I'm really keen to get into that and to see how your role changed and what you've learned while you've been there. But do you want to sort of go back, even though I know it's a long time ago, and sort of just give us a brief run through of some of the jobs that you did that got you to the point of where you met this principal?
Well, that was a long time ago. I started as a lady's maid, French tutor in London. And then I move up as a conference organizer as well. And then after that, I also work as an air stewardess for an international airline. But then I felt that, wow, I'm for the domestic service industry. So I just came back and I find my employer.
And that's this employer now?
Yes. Okay, so that was quite some time ago.
And is he French?
Yes. Yeah, it's a French family.
Okay. And so what was the role when you started? Like what did you join as?
I started as working for both of them, Madame and Monsieur, as a ladies' wardrobe manager, butler, and general PA.
Okay. And what was the sort of size of the house or number of staff, or how did you fit in the team?
The house was it is still there, large, around 10 staff altogether, downstairs, upstairs and outside. gardeners and securities as well. So yes.
And tell us a bit about the principals in terms of like the way they want their home run. Is it very traditional,
Yes.
formal home?
Yes, it is. It is. Although we don't work with uniform because the weather is so warm that it's a bit. But when we have formal dinners, we all have some sort of uniform to stand out. Yes, they are very traditional, but they also adjust to the modern time.
Okay. So they've probably
yes.
changed a lot over the 20 years just within themselves and the way.
Oh, yes, yes. Yeah, that's a challenge for every estate manager to fit in with all the modern technologies.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, because 20 years ago,
Yes.
I don't even know what was or what wasn't.
Well,
Yeah.
mobile just was just about to to be on the market. So now we have
Yeah.
you know, flat screen and all sorts. So yes.
And so you joined very much at the bottom rung of the ladder.
Absolutely, yes.
And do you feel there are benefits to that rather than joining, you know, a few rungs up? Or
Of course. Well, one major benefit is just I got to grow with the family and also the staff that were there previously or before I started. And it's a very strong advantage as you grow with the family, you grow with the estate and a different project. Then obviously you know you're allowed to move up.
yeah, sure. And is this a multi-property estate?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. They used to have estate in Switzerland and different part of Europe as well. So I end up managing all the properties as well. So
that's where you ended up. And so when you first joined, was it a travelling position or were you predominantly based at one property?
It was traveling in Europe. It was not sort of very long distance travel, but yes, I was following Monsieur and Madame, and yes.
Okay. And so when you arrived then, so was the experience that you had purely from your previous position working in London? Is that where you gained all your experience? Did you do
yes. I work as a lady's maid for a famous starlet, American starlet.
Okay.
And yes, I think she gave me the backgrounds of what I needed to become as an estate manager, or at least to start as a sort of ladies' wardrobes and butler. Yes.
So she was the one that sort of gave you the breaks. I think what a lot of people find is just getting that first opportunity, getting that first break.
Yeah.
When you don't have any experience, that's the sort of like defining moment, really, isn't it? Of how that first job goes.
Yeah, I think it's very important when you want to join this industry to really start from the bottom of it. I mean, it could be a challenge for some, or you know, some people don't like cleaning or you know, gardening, but I think it's very important because you learn so much about little things that you wouldn't think. Yeah, I mean, as an estate manager, I could do everything in a property, outside, inside, you know. So, and then if you don't start from the very bottom, then you won't have a clue where, you know, some of the things you are looking for are. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's like I know for a fact some people have been able to step into senior positions and managed it very well. But I agree with you. Like, for example, with Silver Swan, my agency, when it started, it was me doing everything, and then I did the marketing, and I did the sales, and I did the finance, and all the rest. And then now, when I have a team, it's good to understand all the roles and
Absolutely.
to be able to cover when need be, to be able to train. And I think you get respect from the people below you, knowing when they know that you can do it as well as them, if not better, you know, they're looking up to you in a certain way, aren't they?
Well, this is it. Because I've been there with them and I've grown with them, I can actually train the new staff. Well, some people who are just stepping into a new position as a senior role wouldn't perhaps not have the same background.
They'd need to rely, I think, on the team a bit more heavily to train them and to reach their standards, maybe just a slightly different way of doing it. And so 20 years. So talk us through how your role changed over 20 years. What was the progression for you?
I think the progression was coming from my employer, who developed it all this property business, and as he bought more and more properties, obviously needed somebody reliable who could manage it on his behalf. And then that's when I kind of stepped the ladder, so to speak. And then, yes, and as I grow with him or with the family, I also got the training accordingly to what I was asked. And that was a major advantage for me, because you know, some people are giving responsibilities, but they don't have the technical background for it. So I suppose they go along, and if it's working fine, it's okay. But if mistakes are made along the way, it could be quite difficult.
Yeah, I can imagine. And was it a gradual progression where a little bit more responsibility, a little bit more, or was it just one day, just a big old step?
No, I think 22 years has been very progressive. But I would say the first 5 years were the difficult years, where everyone had to find a mark, trust had to be built and cemented. That's where I sort of was gradually giving sensitive project documents and things, and I was responsible for it. And I also was responsible for the staff, being responsible for others as much as properties, or as most important as you know, everything else.
Well, it's harder as well. Managing people is so much harder than managing a building, because
Absolutely, I must say it's not the part I prefer. Although now everybody's it's all working in order, but it could be a challenge to get everybody to get along with.
yeah, buildings don't cry on you or have a tantrum or have an opinion.
No. It's just you know, it's it could be difficult, but you know.
But rewarding when all goes well. I think managing staff.
Yes,
you know,
yes,
good you can do.
yes.
And so bring us up to current day then. So for anyone sort of listening, sort of who wants to understand a bit more about, you know, your capabilities now. Well, like, what's you responsible of now, or at the end of your role? What were you responsible for? And you know, what sort of skills?
Well, I mean, my position has changed to more PA and fine art. My employer is high-hand collectioner in all the different antiques and fine art that he can find. So I'm sort of now on this side of the industry. But, you know, as an estate manager, I also have all the different qualifications and skills to manage all sort of properties, flat buildings, estate, the manors, you know, sort of, yeah, mention, listed building. It is important when you have renovations that you know what to do and who to talk to. So it's extremely important. Yeah.
Yeah, good. And I assume incredibly varied to have kept you engaged with the same employer for 20 years. That role must have just kept giving and giving, really.
Yes, but it didn't start easily, because, you know, like everything's, you need to find your place. You need to adjust to the family's wishes and also backgrounds, which is why it's important when you're in a domestic service to understand that sort of priority.
Yeah.
In domestic service, we are proud, and that's something that I want to say to all our listeners, that it is an industry you have to be proud of what you do. You have to love what you do. If you don't, it's not for everybody.
Well, also, if you don't love what you do, it will just be obvious. It'll be obvious on your face. It'll be obvious to the rest of the team, and nobody will want you there. That you'll make the atmosphere awkward. It's obvious, you know what I mean. So there's no hiding. That's the other thing I think.
Absolutely, yes.
And also, why would you ever want to do something you don't enjoy anyway? Like so many people, I say this all the time, so many people stay in jobs they don't like, and I don't know why, whether it's laziness or fear. But I always think you'd never keep a boyfriend you don't like, you'd never keep a car you don't like, you'd never live in a house you don't like. Yet people seem to stick in these jobs for a hell of a long time. And I'll say to somebody, how long have you not enjoyed your job for? Wow, I've never enjoyed it. Well, how long have you been there for? Well, 10 years. It's like, how the hell, you spend more time at work than you do at home. Yeah, you wouldn't live in a house that you hate, but people just get stuck in these ruts, I think. And it's such a shame. You spend more of your time at work than anywhere else. It's important you love it.
I believe in private service. It's something we see as a estate manager or butler. We see straight away when we hire new staff. Current situations make people more inclined to employ in private service, but I believe it's not for everybody's taste. I think you need to be passionate about what you do, and you need to have you need to be a people service and serving.
Yeah, definitely. I reckon there'll be some personalities that just wouldn't take. There's just some personalities that don't respect authority as well as you need to in these environments. They don't have the respect. And it just wouldn't go down well. So yeah, it's definitely a certain type of person that will excel in these roles for sure. Are you a hands-on estate manager?
You have to. You have to. I can't be sitting on my chair in my office all day long. First of all, I need to have contact. I need to have an eye on what's going on. So it is important to have your walk around the estate all the time, although now we have CCTV camera which help. But I'm a people person, so I like to have contact with my staff, and my staff always report to me of what need to be done, if there's anything that's new or anything to report, they'll come to me. So it's very important to have an efficient communications with everybody working on the estate. Yes.
Yeah.
It's coming back to your question, it is a full hands-on. An estate manager, a proper estate manager, will actually be running around and
And being all eyes, all ears.
Absolutely. You wouldn't want the principal things, well, where is this, or oh, this is missing, or somebody is not there at the door, or it's just something. It's always the estate manager who's there to be blamed for.
And so the way the house runs, I know we spoke briefly before the call. I'm imagining it to be. I reckon there are two different types of ways. Well, there's different ways homes are run. Sure. But I know for a fact there are a younger generation of ultra high net worth on the scene nowadays, and they definitely don't want the formal side. They don't want the Downton Abbey style of home. They want a vibrant, full of energy team who are well travelled and the other stuff. But on the flip side, there is still a hell of a lot of formally run Downton Abbey style properties, which I think is the one that you're
yes.
using. And so is it very much the Downton Abbey style with your upstairs and your downstairs and your
it's a bit of both. Well, first of all, we're not anymore, regrettably, in the 19th century or early 20th century. But we have a vibrant team, actually. We're not very old, brushed up and boring, so to speak. No, I think what's made the difference now, it's all the different technology that we use. Yeah. But my employers like etiquettes, like protocol, like the difference between his staff. After all, even we are employee, and we are sharing his life. So, but we're not his life. And that's something we have to all, even me, after all this year, I have distance that I cannot cross with my employers.
Yeah.
even if I know their life to start and to, yeah. But yes, it is a compatible time for everybody. But modern house or as difficult to run as graded listed estate. But I think it depends on the principle. Some principle with new money will want more of easy and sort of less sort of etiquettes. Well, some principal will still want to have the traditional way, which I think it's quite good because also it preserves the staff and the family, and you know, it's part of a history.
Yeah, of course. And also, I think, especially those that do the sort of more formal training of the butlers and stuff, that would be a complete wasted foundation level if they weren't able to use those sort of more sort of formal skills within a job.
Yes.
So I know some households don't want formal service at all, but it's I think service staff like the opportunity to serve formally, even if it's every now and then, because it's where they're from, it's what they've done.
But I also think that staff, when they are in an informal house, they become or they adjust to that normal way of life. So they sometimes don't make the difference anymore. So they're not on their toes, so to speak, and that's could be quite tricky because you become very informal with your employer, and that's not quite possible in some households.
No, I agree. And so what qualities would you say is important for someone to have a successful career in the industry?
Humility, discretion. I mean, obviously we all hear things, we all see things, but we cannot say anything. So you know, that's main important thing. And integrity. I mean, we are most of us are working in very expensive properties, and you know, you do have expensive things around, and even jewelry or cash, or where you need to have well, you must be honest, and yeah, that's the core of yeah.
Surely people don't steal stuff. Sure.
Oh, you'll be surprised. I mean, some, unfortunately now some property have cameras inside. I mean, there used to be.
What a stupid thing to even attempt. Like these are not the kind of people that you should. Where you're in their home. What talk about taking advantage? That's it's just horrific. I hate thieves anyway. Just horrific for someone to bring you into their home, trust you, and then you to go running around their things. I think it's disgusting.
Well, you know, some are very tempted, and yeah, and it's all sort of glitter all around the property that could be very attractive too. I mean, I had so many housekeepers who broke antiques and didn't think, oh God, she's not going to see that, so I'm going to get away with that. Now, the thing is, the antiques is worth quite a few thousand euros. So, I mean, we all insured, but, you know, something was broken can never be fixed. Some of it. Yeah. I mean, when it's money, well, you know, it's money, but, you know, there's quite a few things that's being missing that we haven't been able to replace. So that's so integrity is one of the quality somebody must have. Yeah,
especially from your point of view, like if you don't have a team who you can trust implicitly, it's just not going to work. It's just going to be too much worry and stress for you.
Well, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Which is also why principals do pay well, or at least some of them, their staff, because they want to make sure they are as happy as to work, and you know, so it all work hand in hand.
Yeah. So what is it? So you obviously have been managing the recruitment for a really long time.
Yes.
The estate. Lots of people like lots of different things in certain CVs and certain people. You personally, what is it you look for in a CV? What are your turn-ons and what are your turn-offs?
Well, if somebody obviously has worked in a previous household, that's the main principal things that I look for.
Yeah.
If they haven't, obviously, if they've been in hospitality, for example, industry, which is not compatible. There are transferable skills in the hospitality as much as yachting or different industry. But I'd like to interview that person on the phone. I have different interviews so I could see different how they present themselves, and yeah. So we're not just seeing somebody and said, okay, well, we're hiring you now. The process could be, yeah.
quite an in-depth process.
Yes, absolutely. And we're very thorough when we check the background of that person. We're not just calling the employer. It depends. It depends. But yes, the most important thing is the attitude of the persons. Are they prepared to start from scratch? Or they already have experience and then they want to be on top of me, for example. I had that case a few times where, I end up being, sort of left, well, it was quite of an interesting experience.
Yeah, I bet. And so is longevity important to you? Do you like to see that people can commit to a position?
Yes. Which is sometimes you find it in, for example, in the yachting industry or hotels. There's a high or huge turnover of staff, and in household, principals find it very difficult to all the time if they have to adjust to somebody. They like to see the same face every morning. They like to know that persons know where the little box is in place, and so on, all those little things that you learn through times, all the different habits the principal and the family have. Yeah.
Are your principals quite open-minded in terms of ages of the team and sort of maybe nationalities and stuff? And I know on paper we don't discriminate, but there is principals have preferences often. So are you ever restricted by their certain preferences?
No, and we're not also restricted by size.
Good.
Yes, we want the most important things is people come and grow with the family, but with a distance, but no, we welcome people with different backgrounds, different age. When we hired a gardener, sometimes they are in the 50s, sometimes they are retired already from a previous employer. So I think it's down to the experience, the attitude, and also the discretions. Once we find out that something has been divulged outside of the world, that the person is pretty much dismissed it straight away.
Yeah. Has your turnover been fairly good, fairly healthy over there?
Oh, well, we hardly have any turnover, unless when we had, I had to hire sort of seasonal staff for the summer when we are very busy and the family entertain a lot, so we need more staff. But we know they're only there for a short time, but sometimes it doesn't work straight away, so it's quite difficult.
Do all your staff need to speak French?
No, some of them speak English and Italian and Spanish.
Okay, good mixture. That's nice.
Yes.
Good. Well, I think it's really good to. It's so nice to see. If I was a candidate looking for work, I would definitely spend a bit of time looking at the turnover rate within the household, because I understand from a recruiter point of view, from the employer point of view, you guys are looking for candidates with longevity. But it's a two-way thing. I think it's really funny, especially boats, where they will not look at a CV hasn't got longevity. Yeah, if they looked at themselves, their staff turnover is horrendous. And so I feel like an employer should really be working hard equally, it's a two-way thing. And if I was a candidate, it would be big alarm bells for me to join a household where the staff turnover was big. It is an equal risk as if you were to take a candidate that moved around a lot. Do you know what I mean? So it's a two-way thing.
It depends how the household is run. I mean, if you have a professional, I mean, the thing is, now you see everything and anything's running a large estate. You see nannies, you see, I don't know, overnight butlers or whatever who comes and run all those big estates. I think you need to have longevity and the skills to be able to do that. And I find it when there's a big turnover is because the staff who actually run the show, so to speak, are not qualified. They don't have the right attitude, and they misguide the principal, because some principals don't have a clue how to run their private assets. So they are looking for someone young and dynamic, but without the experience and the skill, you can't do that. Those properties are worth millions, and you need to have people who are, first of all, I would say, servant at heart. And I mean, this is a must. You need to be loyal to your principal. You can't just turn back and say, well, I've got enough, I'm off now, I'm off for a new position. That person, as much as they don't show it to you, they invest a lot in the staff they hire. And if you don't have the right head to run that show, then of course you'll be bound to have problems. Staff high staff over. I mean, a lot of problems. A lot of problem will come to the result of that bad management.
You know what? It blows our minds sometimes in our agency, where we'll place a house manager, for example, and they will have assured us and assured the principal that this is a long-term thing and longevity is really important, and they start the role, and obviously we check in and we keep we're around to make sure it's all smooth. And then 6 months later we see they've applied to one of our positions on our website, and we're like, hold on a minute, we've just placed you in this role. If you're going to apply to roles, at least do it behind my back. Don't apply to my own roles when I've just placed you. Literally blows my mind. I ring them straight away saying the worst thing you can do is leave this job. It's the worst thing you can do as a manager. Like, we won't place you again, and you're not going to do yourselves, even if you hate the job. You need to do all you can. I don't think 6 months is doing all you can.
Oh no, I mean, it takes at least I would say 2 years to grow, to settle in a job. But sometimes I must say, some principals, they're not ready. They don't have a clue about staff and how to run a household. So it is also very important for headhunters or recruiters to guide well clients and say, well, this is what you need. But now with the industry, things are changing, and there's so many people who are looking desperately for a position, that some agencies are not as regardless as others. And unfortunately, this is where you have all those problems coming, high turnover and principals who are frustrated because they don't have what they really want, because they haven't been guided in the first instance how to run a household.
And you know what? That's fine if you have a principal that will listen. So yes. sometimes we have clients, and they are so lovely to work with, and we very much at Silver Swan look to be providing a consultancy service rather than a recruitment service. And recruiters typically have a really bad name. I know what people think. Like, we're like second-hand car salesmen, and we're here to make a quick buck. Really? And it's like Phil, don't really care. So like, there are so many bad recruiters. That's right, they give us a bad name, and it's because there are some recruiters that just want to make a very quick hire, and they'll leave them anyway. But for us, it's very much a whole added value process and a whole consultancy process, and it's all about a long relationship that we're looking to build. And so we're always looking to seek to support the house and guide the client, but having said that, we do get some clients that just know best and we don't know anything. But then I think to myself, well, we're going to struggle to help you long term anyway. Because
then this is where you need an estate manager or a butler, or somebody has longevity and who can work with that client, because sometimes all employers, they know best, and they have to know best, because you have to make them believe they know better than you, because you are at their service. You're even as an estate manager, I know my place. Even sometimes my employer is wrong, is always right, and that's the truth. So, but sometimes there's way of settling things smoothly. So then your employers come back to you and say, oh yeah, Nathalie, I think you were right there. And I say, yes, but perhaps we could overcome that bridge, And,
well, I think managing downwards, there's a skill there, but there's a much bigger skill to be gained if you can manage upwards. So if you can effectively manage your manager in a way where they don't feel managed, that's an incredibly powerful skill.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Proper.
How to get what you want without them realising what you're doing.
Yes, well, now my employer don't even argue with me anymore. I just say, well, all right then.
Yeah.
It's all fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how's COVID affected the household? What changes have you had to make, if any?
Well, we've been confined, obviously, some of the staff in the property, which we're fine. We've got plenty of rooms and plenty of what to do. I would say that I've been more in the office than ever before. That's one thing. And it also realized that we need to have a medical checkup more often than what we think, because even we know the staff, even the whole family and extended family, everybody had to be tested, everybody had to be sort of different medical checkup. And everybody was volunteer for that. So I mean, we are on the micro management as an estate, so we all have to preserve our staff and employment. So
well, I think that's easier, especially from your point of view, to have a team who are willing and able to sort of isolate with the family, because then you can be within this bubble and you can all sort of move freely. I think it's much more challenging if you were to have staff come and go every day. Controlling that is just difficult. So if you've got a team that are able to do that and the space to have everybody there, then that's definitely the most easiest way to manage it, I think.
Sure.
I can't believe how fast time's going. I say this every time. I've got still got a bit more to get through. I'll ask everybody this. We keep discreet, obviously. Have you got anything you can talk to us about that's been a really bizarre experience for you during your 20 years?
Oh yes, there's one I will always be not so proud of, because it was my idea. You see, in the south of France, we have a very dry, it can be very dry, especially the summer. So during springtime, all the large estates have to sort of clean the outside bushes. So I decided one year, well, we need something more ecology and more efficient. So I decided to hire a shepherd and all his goat and sheep just to run freely on the estate and just do the job. So, but the thing is, those little beasts, they extend their job to the next property. So luckily enough, the owner wasn't there, but then the alarms went on, and then it was like, just to get the sheep who was just hiding on the bush, and then the goat who was on the tree, because believe me, goat, they climb. I mean, they were very efficient. So they actually clean over the extended garden of our neighbor. He was not very pleased. So we sent him.
You've got these multi-million-pound properties, then you've got a shepherd, and then you've got a sheep everywhere.
Yeah. And goat. So just to clean up the, because some of the property is not accessible for gardeners to lawn. And so we decided, it was also a cheap way to mow the lawn, to have all those sheep running there. It was quite funny. The children loved it. I mean, they were all excited, and I see like, oh God, this is very interesting. But then it actually went overboard. So we end up sort of climbing our neighbor's wall and trying to get our ships. And then the shepherd, he was, because we had about 50. So imagine 50 running around the whole estate and then climbing around the neighbor's wall and walking on his beautiful, because he had this orchids and I mean, they were all destroyed. So we end up, oh God. I mean,
I was going to say your gardening team must have been furious.
Yes, we loved it at first. I know it's a laughable thing, but we loved it at first because we thought, oh God, they're so lovely. But then, we just thought, well, they're manageable. They've got the shepherd, but he couldn't care less. He just went and left it with us for a week, and then we built a fence for them for the night. But then, you can't really keep 50 goats and sheep all together. They kind of ran free, and they had a lot of space to run free, but they kind of overboard it. So when the alarm came up, and then the police came, so there was quite a bit of a scandal there. But it was not a natural intruder. It was only.
Well, when you first said it, I could picture a man turning up with a sheep for a couple of hours, have a little feed, trim the lawn, and leave. They can't be gathering for an entire week, all these sheep.
Yeah, well, we hide the shepherds and the sheep for a week, so can you imagine,
A mess.
So there was a bit of drama. But,
so I assume since then you've just stuck to the more traditional lawnmowers.
Well, we actually fences the place that we couldn't lawn, so there was no access to it. But yeah, that was
Talk about thinking outside the box. At least it was a creative idea and it could have worked.
Yes,
until you tried. That could have been the genius. Honestly, now imagine if that had gone well. Every private formal home used shepherds in the summertime to do their maintenance. So,
but it worked well. I must tell you, they are incredible eaters. I mean, they are they are monsters. I mean, they can eat like, wow, I wouldn't say an acre because it's a bit too big, but, they are eating machine.
they did the job that they were brought in to do, but they left a trail of destruction in the way.
Yes. Well, we surely did have that to take into consideration. So, well, it was a bit of my not so good idea. Oh.
Well, there we are. At least you tried it. So we're going to finish up with some quick fire questions.
Sure.
Just a handful of them. What's your biggest staff turn off? What do you hate in a staff most?
When they're not on time.
Reliability.
Yes. I mean, timing. Sometimes it's all to do with timing as well. When we have dinner, when we have evening parties and things, when the staff are not on time, that's terrible.
Also, what's annoying I found about that is it's really not hard to be on time. Like, what time it is. So It's not as if like you're caught off guard or I don't know, something happened. Like, just leave earlier and you're on time. And when I find people are late to me, I'm thinking, well, it makes me think that their time is more valuable than my time.
Yeah.
And I think it's disrespectful to have people waiting for you.
Yeah.
Good. I agree with you. Your leadership style, do you motivate with a carrot or a stick? Do you have a style?
To be completely honest with you, a bit of both. Because I believe that if you let things getting away, people
there are times for both.
Yes.
Times for both. Yeah. Good cop, bad cop. What would you say is one of the hardest parts of your job?
It's when I don't have enough time to accomplish what I'm supposed to do in a day. Because sometimes I have to rely on people to get things done. because it's also my responsibilities, but unfortunately sometimes it doesn't happen this way. So I guess sometimes it's running against any good estate manager.
Time management. Having been with the family for so long and obviously having such responsibility, would you say that to show that kind of loyalty and commitment, you've had to make any personal sacrifices along the way, or have you had quite a healthy work-life balance?
Well, we haven't talked about it, but yes, I mean, I mean, for that long, you have to put your private family on hold if you have one.
Yeah.
And I don't. And I know couples sometimes find it very difficult because, well, it's a commitment to a family, and it's not just, you know, a 9-to-5 jobs. And some people don't understand that. Yeah.
You know
so
what?
there are sacrifices, unfortunately, we have all to make.
Yeah, you know what? That's been a real common theme, I think, throughout all the podcasts that we've done, that the highs are high and great and the rewards are there and the sense of achievement, but that when we talk about sacrifices, it always seems to be the personal side of things, where it comes from you're having to put their life above your life, so therefore having the time to do what you want when you want just isn't often there.
Some family, when you've been with them for so long, they understand that you have a private life, so it's adjustable. It's you know, it can work. It's just it need to take some time and giving time. So the family get to know you, the family get to know your partner, and it could work. It's just some people are just in a hurry, I suppose.
Yeah, and I suppose, well, it's difficult, isn't it? Because I suppose it's the early part of your career where you need to give the most. So
Yes.
maybe in the sort of 20s, you want to give the most to earn that trust and loyalty with the family. However, it's in those early days, which is where you would start your family and you do all the rest. So it's difficult to get the balance to, you know, take a month off for your wedding, have your babies. It's difficult. You could do that.
It's not impossible. It's not impossible. Some principle, and they do understand that you have a life, and then even staff get to know each other well. And we have few couples who were made in our household. It's not impossible, but you know, it has to be a balance.
Yeah, that's fair. And then what's the absolute favourite bit of your job? Why do you love what you do?
Oh, well, yeah, that's a good question. Well, first of all, I'm passionate. I'm passionate about service. I'm passionate about property and people all in general. What I love most, I think, I think service. It's what I love most. I like to feel that I'm there for my principal. I'm sort of this shadow. We become shadow, but we are there. And we are so loyal to them. So it's a gratitude for us. It's I can't explain, but I suppose people who will listen to me who are in that field will understand what I'm saying.
Well, it must be such a rewarding feeling, and such a sense of achievement, and so rewarding to get to the point where you are so important to the family, and to have earned that trust and earned that respect, and to know that, well, you can just see the results of your work in front of you. Like, it's a very well run home. Their lives are very well supported. You've got a very happy team. It's very easy to see when you've done a really good job, and that must be really rewarding.
Yeah, which is why people who want to join the industry, it can't happen overnight. I mean, that's another point I want to stress that on. If you are seriously want to join domestic service, you need to be prepared to have few years mucking around, helping out, hands-on, and then patiently you will step the ladder. But that's another thing, patience as well, and time will tell.
There's no rushing this career path, unfortunately.
No, because you need to grow with the family, and if you're not patient enough, if you just think, well, you're just going to make a few thousand here and there, this industry is not for you. You need to learn what's need to be learned, and and also how to serve, and
Yeah. And so this all brings us to the end, really. So do you want to give us a bit of an update as to what your current situation is and what it is you're ideally looking for now? Like, what's the next move for you ideally?
I mean, ideally, I'd love to run different properties in Europe or abroad. I manage all the admin side of a family, and also the staff. I mean, in the longevity of what I'm already doing now. I suppose now I'm sort of very interested in fine art and antiques. So anyone who's a collectioner and has all those interests, I'll be very delighted to work for. I'm very traditional. I love sort of old mansions, and anyone who has an old sort of graded listed building, or even a new project, a new property, but who like to work in a certain manners, then yes, I'll be definitely interested to hear about.
Fabulous. Well, when we release this, as I say, it'll be in a handful of weeks' time. And when we put it out, we put a link straight to you, so anyone listening can reach out directly to you.
Oh, right.
If they have any questions about the industry, if they have if they're looking for any sort of advice, or obviously if there are any opportunities out there that you could be well suited to. So fingers crossed we could sort of get something on that.
Yes.
But if not, what you've talked about today, I think has been so interesting, and we've not had anybody that's been working on the more formal side of things. That's really interesting, and I think someone with your level of experience and your longevity in that position, it's just really inspiring to hear, and I think it'd be really helpful for people to have heard your advice and hopefully take it on board to build a sort of similar career for themselves. So
yes. Well, I look for any new estate manager or anyone who's passionate about the industry to come and be in touch with me, because I'd like to transfer my skill. And one thing as well, we always learn about something. I'm an estate manager, but I'm sure there's something that I will learn today, tomorrow, and with my new employer. So
every day's a school day.
Absolutely. Thank you, Philippa.
No, thank you so much for joining, and thanks to everyone for listening for another week. Have a lovely weekend, have a lovely rest of the week.
Yes.
And we will see everybody next week. And then if anybody wants to come and be a guest on the show, just email me at philippa@silverswanrecruitment.com. You can come find and connect with me on LinkedIn, Philippa Smith. And then definitely, if we can help you with your job search or if with your recruitment, you can come and use our agency, Silver Swan Recruitment. So that's a wrap for now, and I'll see you all next week. Thank you.
Bye.